When Atlanta premiered on FX in 2016, the television landscape was already crowded with prestige dramas and quirky comedies. But Atlanta was different. It was the first major American cable series with an all black writer's room, led by Donald Glover and his brother Stephen Glover. And it was just an unapologetically rooted in the culture show, rooted in music and contradictions of the real Atlanta, which most people refer to as the so-called Black Mecca of America. The show follows Ernest, also known as Ern Marks, played by Donald Glover, a Princeton dropout turned music manager, his cousin Alfred, aka Paperboy, played by Brian Tyree Henry, their eccentric friend Darius, portrayed by Lakeith Stanfield, and Ern's on and off again partner, Van, portrayed by Zazie Beetz. But to call it a simple rap industry show is like calling Outkast just another hip hop group. Atlanta is a genre defining, boundary pushing, Afro-surrealist masterpiece that redefined what television could be. Critics and fans alike recognize its brilliance. The show racked up a lot of awards, Emmys, Golden Globes, Peabodys, and was consistently ranked among the greatest TV series of the 21st century by outlets such as Rolling Stone and The Guardian. But its true impact goes deeper. Atlanta changed the rules of TV storytelling, representation, and style, opening doors for a new generation of black creators and weird, wonderful stories. But to talk about Atlanta, Atlanta isn't just set in the city. It breathes the culture of Atlanta. From the MARTA buses to the lemon pepper wings at JR Crickets, from the strip clubs that double as music industry launch pads to the gentrifying neighborhoods, the show captures the city's soul in a way that reality TV never could. But it's not just about the geography. Atlanta is actually a love letter to black southern culture. With all its contradictions, joys, and struggles, it challenges stereotypes by showing the full spectrum of black life. The hustlers, the dreamers, the weirdos, the strivers, and just the folks trying to get by. It's a show where blackness isn't just a monolith, it's a kaleidoscope. The all-black writer's room was key for the show. As Donald Glover put it, he wanted a show to show white people you don't know everything about black culture. The result, it is stories that don't explain themselves to outsiders but invite everyone in. If you're willing to pay attention, whether it's in the subtle class tensions at a Juneteenth party or the surreal horror of a black Justin Bieber, Atlanta makes the familiar strange and the strange familiar. And let's not forget the music. The show's soundtrack is a mixtape of Atlanta's past and present, from Outkast to Migos, grounding every surreal moment in the city's cultural power. If you're looking for a traditional plot, Atlanta will leave you a bit lost in the woods, sometimes literally. The show's structure is famously loose, with every episode feels more like a short story than chapters in a novel. Some episodes barely feature the main cast at all, instead spinning off of an anthology of tales, mockumentaries, or just dreamlike parables. The director of Atlanta, Hiro Murai, explained, quote unquote, "It just felt like the best way to tell this story was these weird little offbeat parables. The result is a show that's unpredictable, experimental, and always fresh and unique. One week you're watching a horror thriller about a reclusive musician, the next you're in a satirical talk show or a Black Mirror-esque alternative reality." This approach wasn't always popular. Some fans missed the main crew during the anthology episodes, but it allowed Atlanta to tackle big ideas from every angle: race, class, identity, fame, and the absurdity of American life. It's TV as jazz, improvisational, surprising, and quite deeply personal. So, what is Atlanta? Is it a comedy? Is it a drama? Is it satire? Is it horror? The answer is kind of yes. It's all of those things, all of the above. Donald Glover once described the show as quote unquote Twin Peaks with rappers, and the comparison is spot on. Like David Lynch's cult classics, Atlanta blurs the line between the mundane and the bizarre, the hilarious and the horrifying. But Atlanta goes further. It blends Afro-surrealism, a movement that uses the surreal to explore black realities with sharp social commentary and deadpan humor. One minute you're laughing at Darius's philosophical musings, the next you're unsettled by a scene that feels ripped from a nightmare. The show's visual style, crafted by the director Hiro Murai and cinematographer Christian Sprenger, is cinematic, moody, and full of visual metaphors. Whether it's the grainy, dreamlike palette or the way the camera lingers on a character's face, every shot feels intentional, inviting you to look closer and question what you see. At its core, Atlanta is a show about performance. The roles we play, the masks we wear, and the way society tries to script our lives. Nowhere is this clearer than its exploration of a race and identity. Episodes like BAN or BAN skewer the absurdities of media discourse, with Paperboy debating transracialism or a fictional black news network interrupted by fake commercials that are as biting as they are funny. Rich Wigga, Poor Wigga, quote unquote, and the quote unquote the big payback use alternative realities to probe questions of privilege, reparations, and what it means to be quote unquote black enough in America. The show doesn't offer easy answers. Instead, it destabilizes the very idea of a fixed black identity, showing how race is performed, policed, and sometimes weaponized by others and by ourselves. But Atlanta also finds joy, humor, and resilience in the messiness of identity. It's a show where you can be a rapper, a philosopher, a weirdo, or all three at once, and where the only constant is change. To talk about the hustle culture of Atlanta, Atlanta is obsessed with the American dream and the nightmares that come with it. Earn, Paperboy, and the crew are always chasing success, money, and respect, but the closer they get, the more elusive it becomes. Paperboy's journey is especially poignant. As his fame grows, so do his anxieties, isolation, and sense of being commodified. In the episode titled Woods, quote unquote, he's literally lost in the forest, hunted by fans and forced to confront the emptiness of celebrity. In quote unquote New Jazz, a hallucinatory trip through Amsterdam, he faces the ghosts of his past and the pressures of being a black artist in a white dominated industry. The show skewers capitalism at every turn, from the absurdities of the music business to the gentrification of Atlanta's neighborhoods, from the hustle for a haircut in the quote-unquote episode titled Barbershop, to the corporate co-opting of black culture in the quote-unquote episode White Fashion. Even the pursuit of reparations in the quote-unquote episode titled The Big Payback becomes a darkly comic parable about who profits from history and who gets left behind. But Atlanta isn't just cynical, it's deeply existential, asking the question, what does it mean to make it? Why do we lose in the process? And is there a way to find meaning, connection, or even joy in a world that feels rigged against you? One of Atlanta's greatest tricks is its seamless blend of the surreal and the real. The show's world is grounded in the everyday struggle of its characters, paying rent, finding work, dealing with family, but it's constantly punctured by moments of absurdity, horror, or magic. Remember the invisible car, the black Justin Bieber, the Nutella sandwich prophet on the MARTA bus? These aren't just random gags, they're surreal interventions that reveal deeper truths about race, power, and perception. In Atlanta, the surreal isn't an escape from reality, it's a way of seeing it more clearly. The show invites us to question what's normal, to laugh at the absurdity of the world, and to find meaning in the chaos. Atlanta's brilliance isn't just in its ideas, it's also in its characters. Over 4 seasons, we watch Earn, Paperboy, Darius, and Van grow, stumble and search for themselves in a world that's always shifting. Earn starts off as a broke homeless dropout, desperate to prove himself to his family and to his girlfriend Van. His journey is one of self-discovery, therapy, and hard-won maturity. By the end, he's found some measure of success, but more importantly, he's found a sense of self-worth and connection. Paperboy, also known as Alfred, is the show's tragic hero. He's a rapper who never wanted fame, struggling with depression, grief, and the pressures of being a black man in the spotlight. His arc is about learning to survive, to adapt, and to find meaning beyond money or status. Darius is the show's frontrunner and philosopher, and also a wildcard, drifting through life with a zen-like detachment and a knack for stumbling into the surreal. But even he isn't immune to pain, loss, or the search for belonging. His sensory deprivation tank journey in the finale, titled, quote-unquote, "It Was All a Dream," is a perfect encapsulation of the show's blend of humor, existential dread, and hope. Van is more than just Earn's partner. She's a fully realized character grappling with motherhood, identity, and her own dreams. Her episodes, titled Value, quote-unquote, Helen, quote-unquote, Snipe Hunt, quote-unquote, explore the pressures of black women to be everything to everyone, and her arc is one of self-assertion and healing. Together, these characters form a found family, navigating a world that's often hostile, but never without moments of grace, humor, and love. Each of these episodes is a masterclass in blending the surreal and the real, using genre conventions, horror, satire, documentary, to probe deeper truths about race, identity, and the human condition. Take the episode titled, quote-unquote, Teddy Perkins. Donald Glover's unrecognizable performance as the titular character is both hilarious and terrifying, a meditation on the price of greatness and the scars of abuse. The episode's horror movie style isn't just for show. It's a metaphor for the ways trauma hunts black artists, and for masks we want to wear to survive. Or the episode titled, quote-unquote, BAN, or BAN, which uses the format of a talk show, complete with fake ads, to skewer the absurdities of media discourse on race and gender. It's as funny as it is quite uncomfortable at times. A perfect example of Atlanta's ability to make us laugh, think, and squirm, often all at once. To get technical for a second, Atlanta is one of the best looking TV shows I've ever seen. Thanks to the visionary work of director Hiro Murai and cinematographer Christian Springer, the show's visual style is cinematic, moody, and full of visual metaphors. It's full of long takes, off-kilter framing, and a color palette that shifts from gritty realism to dreamlike haze. Music is also another key ingredient of the show. The soundtrack is sort of a love letter to Atlanta's musical legacy, blending trap, soul, and experimental sounds to create an atmosphere that's both grounded and sometimes otherworldly. The editing is sharp, often using abrupt cuts, surreal transitions, or fake commercials to disrupt the narrative and keep viewers off balance. The show's willingness to break the fourth wall, play with form, and embrace ambiguity is a testament to its creative confidence. And let's not forget the writing. With Donald Glover and Stephen Glover at the helm, and an all-black writer's room, the show's scripts are sharp, funny, and deeply authentic. The dialogue crackles with wit, wisdom, and the rhythms of real Atlanta life. Atlanta feels different because it's real and weird. A big part of the answer is the writer's room. The writer's room wasn't just about representation. It was about authenticity. The writers drew on their own experiences, memories, and obsessions, creating stories that felt lived in, specific, and unfiltered. As Stephen Glover put it, quote unquote, "We don't want to be the show that's explaining black culture. We want to make something we'd want to watch," quote unquote. The result is a show that's both universal and deeply particular, able to speak to anyone while remaining rooted in the realities of Black Atlanta. It's a model that's already influencing a new wave of black-led, genre-bending TV, from Insecure to Abbott Elementary to Raimi. To dig a little deeper into the show's Afro-surrealist roots, Afro-surrealism, as defined by writers like D. Scott Miller and scholars like Liddy Modileno, is about using the surreal to uncover hidden truths about Black life. Truths that are often stranger, more painful, or more beautiful than fiction. In Atlanta, the surreal isn't an escape from reality, it's a way of seeing more clearly. The show's dreamlike moments, whether it's a man in a Batman mask, a black Justin Bieber, or a haunted piano, aren't just weird for weird's sake. They're metaphors for the absurdities, dangers, and possibilities of Black existence in America. As Rachel Dukes wrote, quote unquote, "Afro-surrealism is the creative response to the everyday experience of Blackness. It abstracts the present moment by depicting Black life as it is peculiar yet beautiful," end quote. How does Atlanta stack up against other modern TV masterpieces? Let's compare. To Twin Peaks, both shows blend the surreal and mundane using dream logic and offbeat humor to probe the darkness beneath everyday life. But while Twin Peaks is rooted in small-town Americana, Atlanta is grounded in the Black urban South, with a sharper focus on race, class, and cultural identity. Shows like Fargo, like Atlanta, Fargo uses anthology, storytelling, dark humor, and blending pots. But Atlanta is more experimental, more personal, and more willing to break its own rules. To shows like Barry, both shows explore the absurdity of horror of the entertainment industry, blending comedy and tragedy. But Atlanta is more surreal, more political, and more invested in questions of identity. To shows like Fleabag, both are auteur-driven, fourth wall breaking, and deeply personal. But Atlanta's Afro-surrealist lens focus on Black Southern life set it apart. In short, Atlanta is in a league of its own, but it's also a part of a broader movement of TV that's pushing the boundaries of genre, form, and representation. Audiences really did like Atlanta, and critics respond to Atlanta, in a word, rapturously. The show holds a 98% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, with critics praising its ambition, originality, and emotional depth. It's been called a quote-unquote a unique vehicle for Donald Glover's eccentric brand of humor, as well as a number of timely tangent observations, and quote-unquote one of the greatest television series of the 21st century. But the show wasn't without controversy. Some viewers were frustrated by the anthology episodes, the lack of traditional plot, or the show's refusal to explain itself. Others found its blend of comedy and darkness unsettling, but as Stephen Glover put it, there is an Atlanta episode for everybody, but also that same person should have one episode that they hate. What's undeniable is the show's influence. Atlanta opened doors for a new generation of Black creators, inspired countless imitators, and proved that TV could be as weird, wild, and wonderful as life itself. Scholars have had a field day with Atlanta, analyzing its use of satire, magical realism, and Afro-surrealism to explore the instability of racial performance, the commodification of Blackness, and the existential dilemmas of modern life. So what's Atlanta's legacy? In a word, freedom. The show proved that Black stories could be weird, experimental, and unclassifiable, that you didn't have to explain yourself, fit a mold, or play it safe. It opened doors for shows like Insecure, Abbott Elementary, Raimi, and The Bear, inspiring a new generation of creators to take a risk, tell their own story, and embrace the full spectrum of Black experience. But more than that, Atlanta changed the way we think about TV itself. It showed that television could be art, messy, beautiful, challenging, and true. So what does Atlanta teach us? The real magic? It teaches us to laugh at the absurdity of the world, to question what's quote-unquote normal, and to dream of something better. It reminds us that identity is fluid, that success is complicated, and that the line between reality and fantasy is always shifting. But most of all, it teaches us that there's power in telling your own story, on your own terms, in your own voice, with all the weirdness, beauty, and pain that comes with it. Atlanta isn't just a TV show, it's an attitude, a worldview, and a challenge to see the world as it is, to imagine what it could be, and to find meaning in the madness. So next time you're riding the bus, eating lemon pepper wings, or just trying to make sense of it all, remember, sometimes the most surreal moments are the ones that tell the deepest truths. Thanks for watching.